I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Manlistens Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Manlistens Show. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube. Click that bell icon. We're right around 400 followers. We need to get about 500 followers before the end of the first quarter. So make sure you tell a friend. Make sure they tell a friend to follow the show. You can also go to our Instagram, go to the link in our bio and buy our merchandise. Make sure you support the show. And make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Manlistens Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Let's bring the crew in. You can also buy our books, buy Rika's book. Actually, she got 3 books you can buy. You can buy our books. And get my book too, and shout out to our homegirl C. We love you. All right, y'all. Trump won the Iowa caucus, y'all. And the thing about it was, he didn't even have to participate in a debate. He ain't even, I think he been doing his little, I don't think he ever stopped doing his little campaign tour or what have you. But in between him, going to his court dates, I want to say I read something, and I might be wrong. He had like 91 possible felonies or some crazy number like that he could be, potentially found guilty on. Some of them are more plausible than others, but when I was looking at it, fraud, election aversion, one that isn't talked about enough, where he was found guilty of sexual assault. They said that he actually raped a woman. Suing for defamation because he said, "Nah, I didn't sexually assault her," but the court said that he actually did. And they probably not. Not probably. They aren't talking about that enough. But man, I don't know, man. The MAGA people, and these folks, we might have Trump Biden again. Which I think.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, unless he's in jail, it's gonna be Trump winning the RNC.
I think if he goes to jail, there's gonna be some riots. I ain't gonna lie, man, for real.
But I mean, are they even trying to not have a Trump Biden? Like, this might be arguably the worst election ever. Like,
yeah.
The battle of the grandpas. Neither one.
But that's always been as far as the age wise. But these are just two. I don't know. Two.
Ain't never been this old though.
Yeah, no, you're right. Never been this old, but these are two candidates that it's a large section of each of them's own party that don't like them. And, normally if there's a candidate, the parties rally behind them and stuff, but it's already people that are in the Republican Party. It's like, I just can't vote for him. It's people in the Democratic Party like, I'm not voting for Biden. It's strange to say the least.
Well, the thing that kills me about the people saying they're not voting for Biden, I get it. Biden isn't, for whatever reason, he's never been that likable. I think because he repeatedly, before he got to where he's at now, y'all notice that they don't really have him talking that much. I don't really see him out doing much because they know, like, hey, his faculties are declining for real. Yeah. And honestly, I think the Democrats, that's on purpose. Like, because like, number one, even when he was young, he was on point, because there was a point in time when Biden was on point with his ability to articulate, his points, his stances on things, even though he was on the wrong side of things a couple of times, when he was, best friends with Strom Thurmond, the world-renowned racist, and, what he did with Anita Hill, with the Clarence Thomas Supreme Court appointment, and then obviously, Crime Bill Joe and his stance on that. But when he was vice president, to President Barack Obama, Joe was on point. Now, would he put his foot in his mouth? Absolutely. But he was pretty sharp. I think that now our best case, and I'm gonna say our, because I don't think Trump or what's her real Nikki Haley. I want to know what her real name is. I just can't memorize it, because the fact that this wench can sit there and say that America is not a racist country when you have to go by a fake name so that you can have it easier, just prove that it is a racist country.
Right.
I need to remember her real
And
name.
She's from South Carolina.
Don't matter. Her people.
No. What I'm saying is, how can you live in South Carolina? How can you learn state history?
Right.
The first state to secede from the Union, and and everybody knows the Cornerstone speech. That black people aren't equal to white people. That's the reason they seceded. So whatever.
Absolutely. And then you got, obviously, the Satan down in Florida, where they just passed the law where they say anything doing with DEI, can be sued, or it's just that. And I hate it too, because I sure would like to visit Florida, but the way we can hurt them is through this tourist dollars. But I don't know. I'm surprised that there are people who are as vocal against Biden. I think that, we would benefit from just being quiet and allowing the Republicans to hurt themselves, because in my personal opinion, the stakes are too high for us to get Trump back in office, because he'd be a one-term president. He'd be a lame duck president. So he ain't gonna do like Barry did. Barry was a lame duck president, and he could have just really helped black people out tremendously, and he didn't do that. Trump gonna go all out for his people, just to create chaos.
Yeah, but I think it's a large section of, and particularly black people, that are like, in reality, my life isn't going to change much one way or the other, no matter who's in the Oval Office. So it's easy to be like, I'm not voting for Biden. I mean, you can take that, you can say I didn't vote for him, and at the same token, though, that means you're probably not voting on your local elections, which, in your local jurisdictions, which is really what's affecting the people. So it's a trickle down effect, and I understand what you're saying. It's not necessarily a vote for Biden that's going to help them, but it's the down ticket votes.
And I also think not voting for Biden is basically voting for Trump.
Well, to a certain extent, yes. I hate that argument, because
yeah, me too.
I hate that we're in this position, but at the same time, thinking about how the Supreme Court banned or overturned Roe v. Wade, and then Missouri was the first one with the bill signed banning abortion, and all of the aftermath that's come from all of that for everyone's lives. It's just like, you really have to appreciate the impact that the federal government has on the states, whether you want to or not. And then you can say, well, and I've said personally, the federal government, the president, really doesn't have as much impact on you as the governor does, which is true. However, the federal government still can keep all of these little podunk states from doing ridiculous things from time to time. So it's kind of hard to ignore the impact that Trump's Supreme Court has had on the country since he got to elect all these people to the Supreme Court. Now, would we have to literally hope in the next 4 years that half of these old people fall off the face of the earth, or at least retire, in order to get the Supreme Court balance? Sure, but I'm willing to vote for that. I'd like everybody over the age of 70 to have to automatically retire from government politics, because the things I could do as a child at 20, 30, I can't do now at 40. I acknowledge that. I don't got Meg knees anymore. I can't do the things I used to be able to do. So I think the fact that we still allow these people to run our country at the age that they're at without their faculties being at maximum potential is ridiculous.
Hi, I'm Marika Moore, and if you want to get all up in my business, you should check out my new book, Unsolicited Marriage Advice, where I provide an analysis of the best marriage advice that I've received over the past 16 years or so. So head on over to Amazon and buy it now.
And they're setting laws for the future that by and large they won't even be around for. You know
Right.
what I mean? So there's definitely a different perspective. There's not as much passion about certain things that's going to affect 40 years down the line. And you have to be cognizant of that. If you're a representative, that's who you're representing. And I don't think they do a good job of doing that.
No, environmentally,
Yep.
aggressively with
Mm-hmm.
laws that are really impacting people moving forward. I think the children 20s 30s should be really moving the needle on the country because they're the ones that they've got their feet closer to the fire than the rest of us. We're a
Mm-hmm.
little more comfortable because we've put in the decades of work to get more comfortable, and so we don't necessarily know what we don't know exactly how it feels to have the same problems that the younger generations are facing. And those are the problems that really need to be addressed. And the people that have the energy to get out there and hit the streets and do the campaigning and doing the moving around aren't able to have the impact that they're having because these old people have got friends from 50 years ago still voting for them just because they're friends. I hate politics and I hate bipartisan and I hate even having parties. I think we should remove parties and remove all these old people and start from scratch.
Well, listen, let me tell y'all something. Both of y'all said y'all hate it when I said not voting for Biden is a vote for Trump. And you talking about how you hate partisan and elections and both parties and all this. But I'm a pragmatist. And the reality is this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to get down or we're gonna lay down. And that's for real. We seen people say the president doesn't control much of our lives, but we see how that's short-term thinking. You know, President Obama, he let us down. Now, I'll say it. President Obama let us down. I think that there was a different strategy that he could have went with that appointment for that Supreme Court justice that he could have put in there. The Republicans pulled some shenanigans. They pulled dirty tricks. And hey, listen, the Supreme Court is heavily, heavily conservative, and we can see how they're making decisions that impact our lives. When they, and I'm not sure if this happened. I think this happened before Trump's appointees got put into place. But we see how when the Voting Rights Act, when that control that was over those southern states, because there was control over them. Hey, listen, you all just can't make these type of voting decisions because we know how y'all used to be back in the day. When those limitations were removed, we saw the shenanigans came right back. We talked about Roe v. Wade, Arika, that's impacting us. And people don't like Biden. I don't really know why, other than he's not charismatic, but Biden has done a lot for
Yeah, he has.
Black.
He has a good record. Mm-hmm.
Biden has done a lot for the Black community. There's the symbolic things in terms of like the Black appointees that he's put into place, the number of Black judges that he's put into place on all levels of the court. I think he's outdone, he's outpaced Obama. I could be wrong on that, but I'm fairly confident he's outpaced Obama when it comes to that. When you talk about how student loans impact us, yeah, we didn't get the money that he tried to put into place, right? But I know several people who have had their student loans canceled, right? There's different. There's a multitude of things. Lab one of them. I didn't want to tell you business, bro. But there's a multitude of things that they're trying to push through. I mean, we talk about our health. I saw in the news where they're trying to say, hey, listen, ban menthol cigarettes, and we know how menthol affects the Black community. So they're doing things that impact us. So I can't sit here and co-sign with folks who say I'm just not going to vote for Biden. I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm not going to vote for Biden. To me, and I love y'all. I love some of y'all, but it's idiotic to hold that stance because the stakes are too high for us not to do so. And I can't use this platform, my portion of the platform, because it's all of ours, the four of us. I can't use my part of this platform to promote what I feel is nonsense. And I think it's nonsensical for us to try to say Nikki Haley. What's that girl's name? I'm gonna find her name before the
I
end
have no clue.
when y'all talking, because that's what we're gonna call it.
But see, this the thing though.
Say,
They're thinking
it's nonsensical. I'm gonna let you go, bro. Nonsensical to think that when you see what the Satan is doing down in Florida, and when you hear how Haley's talking about this ain't a racist country, and we know what Trump would do when he's in office, for us to say, okay, that's better. I understand that for a lot of people, life hasn't changed. Whoever's in the office, you can go to the Fifth Ward of Houston. You could go to East Side St. Louis, East Side Topeka. You could go wherever, and you go wherever. And for a lot of people, it don't really matter. But for those of us who are more informed, we know that it does, and we have to do our part.
So
now I'm just going. Go ahead, Erika.
This chick is Indian American. Her name is Nimarata, and her maiden name was Rondhawa.
Nimarata. Yeah. Listen. Y'all made fun of Kamala's name for years, and we had a lot of fun with it too. We called it Kamala and all that stuff. Kamala. I'm not calling her Nick.
Nimarata.
Nimarata.
You Nimarata.
Yeah, Nimarata. That's who you
are.
are.
No, but what I'm saying is this. So by you saying a non-vote for Biden is a vote for Trump, so we have to vote for Biden, then that's how you get in this situation where you really have no political power, because you have to. People are telling you have to vote for him, even though he's doing nothing, or that party historically has really never done as much as they should have when they're carrying 92% of your demographics vote, and they're no special interest, things like that. So you're basically acknowledging that you're just going to be in that position forever.
I agree with you, Lab. I'm not disputing that. I agree. I'll be the first to say it is a hostage vote. We're being held hostage by poor choices. But I am saying though, we really don't have a choice, so we have to vote for, in my opinion.
Yeah, but there are people that
Marvin Banks Jr.
Yeah,
you have to vote.
I know what you're saying.
I don't want the other, because we see what happens when they're in office. They care nothing about us, and they know how to effectively wield power. When Trump was in office, he used his power. Biden is not as ignorant as Trump, but we just talked about it in a couple of situations where what Biden has done has improved the condition of Black people's lives. We talk about wealth. When we talk about wealth, hey, all my friends who got their student loans canceled, guess what? I love y'all, man. And I'm happy for y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. Because guess what that does? That helps your wealth. That helps your children's wealth. That helps us as a community. So I'm with it, man.
Let me borrow $1.
Hey, you know what? I guess, shout out to C. She ain't here today, but she did mention that mine wasn't necessarily straight can. It was through the public service loan forgiveness program. I mean, I just had never applied for it. I didn't think I had met the criteria yet. And so. But
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And I wish she was on the show, because she was like, nah, Biden didn't do that. That was a program already put into place. If we look historically and we look at some of the books that we talk about all the time, we talk about The Color of Law and The Color of Money. There have been plenty of programs put into place that help Black people. You talk to plenty of veterans that fought for this country. I talk about all the time how my dad fought in Korea, right? When he wasn't even a full citizen, that tried to come back to this country to use the GI Bill, to get federal loans for housing.
Yeah.
And they just weren't given it because there were racist people who were put into place that stalled them out, did whatever to make sure that, hey, listen, you're supposed to get it, but you're not going to get it because you're Black. And we see the documentation that when you had Betsy DeVos, when she was in office, she was over education, where she shouldn't have been, right? How it was complicated. Nobody was getting their stuff. Nobody was getting their stuff approved. It's not a coincidence. If Biden says, hey, listen, we may not be able to just go ahead and flip it, cancel y'all stuff like you said, but this program is in place. Run it through. And that's straight up Biden. I mean,
yeah, no, it is. I mean, it was a tweak to the. I mean, technically, I didn't meet all the original criteria. He tweaked a little bit, so but then I did meet him. But yeah,
telling you something, bro. Listen,
no, I'm just.
yeah.
I ain't got no.
Right.
Hey,
But,
they ain't
but,
got
but what else? So that proves the point that Biden has been doing stuff for black
yeah.
people.
But I mean, again,
You know who else did? But guess who did? Guess who didn't do it though?
Barry.
Barry.
yeah, I'm not gonna like that public service, like that kind of thing, because
Why?
there was if COVID had happened, he may have done that. If COVID had happened under because all of that stemmed from COVID. That wasn't gonna all of that stemmed from COVID.
I
Okay.
think that was part of his.
I can see your point when
so they started looking for evidence.
I get it. Okay. He could have done it.
No, he could have done it.
People would not have thought that it is possible had they not suspended the COVID payment,
right?
No payments because of COVID. I get what you're saying, but he didn't do it. He didn't even think to do it. He didn't think.
No. No, he didn't. He didn't think to do it. COVID caused a lot of people to change their thinking on a lot of things. So
yeah, for sure. So I don't know, man. They got the New Hampshire caucus coming up.
Hold on, man. Let me jump in real quick. That's the main thing, though. You go to these states that's 98% white, and I mean, who would expect anybody besides Trump to win? You know what I mean? Anywhere,
I was about to say, you got New Hampshire, and then you got South Carolina.
South Carolina's coming up, right?
South Carolina is
they moved theirs though. It wasn't always this early.
Okay, so you got South Carolina, right? South Carolina is usually a strong litmus test, especially on the litmus test on the South Carolina is a strong litmus test for the Democrats.
Yeah,
because it's so heavily black. So we're gonna see. I don't know, man. The other thing is the 14th Amendment, Colorado, they said Trump can't run. And they said, hey, listen, man, you were in power, you swore an oath to the Constitution to protect the US government, and then you sided with people who were who were insurrecting, who participated in the insurrection. I can't talk today. So they got and I think New Hampshire, they're trying to do the same thing. Yeah. When I read, there's about 30 other states who want to say, hey, listen, Trump can't run. I personally think that it is a strategic error for the Democrats to let Namarata or DeSatan run against Biden. I think if they run, there's a good chance that though they might win if they ran against Biden. I don't think Trump can beat Biden. I don't think he can.
I don't know. He's very like
I don't know either. Yeah.
I don't know. And that's the weird thing. Like people be like,
well, I didn't think Trump could beat Hillary either, and we saw what happened. But I think that because America, it's racist, but it's also very sexist. So I think that that's why Namarata probably won't win either, right? But DeSatan, he probably
can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself.
Right. DeSatan probably can't.
They got the same Google we got.
Right. Trump went in the election. He ain't even running. Like he ain't did no debate.
No,
he ain't did no debate. He don't work.
He don't even have coherent policies. Like straight up, he just says, "I'm going to do this." He doesn't tell you how, or no. He just like, "Hey, we're going to do this."
Hey, listen, y'all don't want the government to mess with the Bitcoin. I ain't gonna do it.
Right? Is that you know what I mean? Like,
listen,
but hey, man,
that dude knows how to manipulate people, man.
He does. He does.
People like, I need Bitcoin now. It's safe. I'll be safe from the government.
He knows how to manipulate people, man. But
people are simple. That's a problem too. Is that most of America is simple. So then it's like, of course, somebody who's speaking a language they can understand is going to appeal to them more than somebody who's talking over their heads.
Yeah,
that's just common sense.
This is something I'm ashamed of. There's a very, very there's a very strong ignorant side to my personality. Our viewers probably don't know this, but everybody on the show does. And some of Trump's ignorance, like how he, the way he talks to people that are against him, like back when they did the Republican primaries, and the way he was going after Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush. I wanted to laugh and share that stuff so bad, but if he wasn't, but he's too dangerous for me to
man. So I
resemble
agree
him
with
if
you,
I'm
man.
endorsing him. But a lot of the shit talking that he does and stuff, man,
Yes,
to me,
hilarious.
is hilarious. But
Yeah.
I can't laugh. I can't promote it
Right.
because he's so dangerous. But dude, if you watch it, you like, hey, it appeals to my ignorance side. I'll
Yeah.
never vote
But see,
for.
but that's the thing, though. He appeals to the majority of Americans. Like a
Mhm.
lot of the stuff that politicians say, they're trying to sound smart. And so it's like, for me, one of the things that I learned early on as an attorney is I can talk to you as an attorney all day. It is not going to help me if you don't understand a single word that I said.
Mhm.
And then so it's like when you actually talk to them the way they speak so that they can actually understand what you're saying, then you don't have to have this conversation again. But if you try to talk
Relatable.
like
Being
a fancy
relatable is important.
lawyer, you'll be talking out the side of your neck for the rest of your life.
Being relatable is very important.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is his superpower. They relate to him.
That's the kind of guy I want to have a beer with,
Barack.
Yeah.
Remember Barry had a beer with the cop that
Joe the plumber too, right?
did he have a beer with Joe the plumber?
I think it was one of it was.
Nah, he had a beer with the cop. Remember the Skip Gates, the historian, and the cop.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Skip Gate. Yeah,
He had the
yeah,
beer
that's who
on,
it was.
like,
Okay, yeah.
which one of Barack's advisors told him that? You know what you really should do? You should invite both of them here and have a beer with them.
Yeah.
Okay, bro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But
I mean,
speaking of,
twice.
But speaking of, not having to work when everybody else is working, this is transition to another favorite topic of the show, Deion Sanders. So the Colorado Buffalo team. Okay, talk today. They had their first team meeting, and Deion's boys, Shiloh and Shador, were not there. They were in Paris at the Louis Vuitton fashion show. Models that participated in it. That's all some people say, man. Hey, listen, what is going on? What type of leadership is this? You got, your team quarterback, and you got, the coaches, the other coach's son. They're missing the first team meeting. While you got the coach sitting here saying, hey, listen, you will be respectful to women. You won't vape. You won't spit on the field. You won't do these different things. And touting responsibility to the team, which is something that you do in football, right? Because when you start, any season, the whole purpose is to build a team, build coherency, build the team up, break them down, and create a one unit.
Mm-hmm.
What type of message do you think it shows when you allow your boys to go to a fashion show instead of being with the team?
My thing is, didn't he schedule the meeting? Couldn't he pick a different day?
What think?
That's my question. Like, aren't you in control of when the meeting happens? Didn't you know they were going to be like gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple things. I know last week, I follow different college football teams and stuff. It was a lot of teams had welcome or back to campus day for the new players, some of the freshmen, early enrollees, transfer, stuff like that. But class hadn't actually started, maybe before classes started. So I was thinking, well, maybe it was before classes started, one. Then two, I was thinking, I'm not what I was thinking. I heard a coach say a long time ago, everybody's not going to be treated equally, but everybody's going to be treated fairly. So that means that you have certain latitude with certain players, and it just comes with the territory. The third string running back can't do what this starting star quarterback can do. And it makes sense. That's just the hierarchy of every job place, every marketplace in the in the world. And it's just something that is reality. So I don't have a problem with it personally.
I think too, with the NILs, I wonder how much that has changed the dynamic of how
Yeah.
coaches interact with star players.
Hmm.
Because now that these kids have these endorsement deals, how much do you have to respect that they're going to have other engagements that they have to keep? So, when we were just dominating these children's lives with making money for the university, I say we, but it wasn't me, it was them. But anyway, then you know what I mean? Then you
Yeah.
can control every aspect of what they do. But now that they have these other agreements, these contracts that they have to fulfill, like, so if they have NIL deals with Louis Vuitton, do they have a contractual agreement to be in these places at these times that has to be respected now? Like, how has that balance changed or
Hmm.
shifted how coaches interact with these star players?
Well, I think the NIL has changed a lot of things. I think that's why Saban went ahead and retired, because you can't sit here and just dominate these kids' lives, because not only just with the NIL, but more importantly, the transfer portal. So there's a lot more power that the players have. Um, and we could thank Joe Biden for all of that. He did that for the black community. No, I'm just
Biden
playing.
campaign? What?
Biden instituted the transfer portal.
I was like, wait. I was with you. Time out. I need a reset.
But listen, as a former football player, I think it sets a bad precedent. I have pulled that antic while I played football, and hey, listen, I have a conflict, so I can't be with the team for a couple of days. I'll miss whatever, and you never really recover. There's a level of resentment that is levied towards you not only by your teammates but by the coaches as well. And I think for Shador and Shiloh to be able to do this, it speaks to what I've mentioned before, that we were probably looking at one big experiment of daddy ball. Now, most of the fathers I know who participated and they coached their sons, they tended to skew on the other side of coaching and the extremity of terms of I'm going to be harder on my boys because I want to make sure that nobody could say that I'm showing favoritism, right? I think that this sends a bad message when you're talking about football. When you're talking about football, because now what you said, okay, not everybody's going to be treated equally, but people are going to be treated fairly. Makes sense. That's reality, right? But when you're trying to turn around a team and what did they win? 4 games, 5 games?
5, I think 5.
Won 5 games, and y'all talk a whole lot of stuff, and you need every single person. You need all hands on deck. All hands on deck if you're going to try to win and win a national championship and do all the stuff that y'all talk. You can't afford to have that resentment. You can't afford to have that type of dissension in the locker room. And I think that this is a misstep by the Sanders family, in my personal opinion.
I think this is more that with the NIL transfer portal, it has become more of a professional atmosphere. And I think Deion is treating it as such, being as a veteran in NFL locker rooms. He knows what goes on. He knows that there are players that are mispractice on certain days, and every professional sport. LeBron doesn't have to practice, but all these the young cats, they out there running. LeBron's sitting in the stands, or who I just stole LeBron's name out there because he's an older guy. I don't know if he practices or not, but so I think he's taking that approach to it, and I think that if these kids are aiming to be professional football players, I don't think they'll have that resentment. There, I really don't.
I mean, but why not though? Well, why wouldn't they though?
Why would they? This is the first practice and this is the first meeting. It's not a practice. It's not a game, not a film session, introductory meeting. The kids that aren't there, they've gone through these several years in a row. I'm pretty sure it's standard protocol meeting.
But
That's a
but
good.
a
That's a
first
good.
meeting of the year seems important enough to make sure that everybody's going to be there, especially your starting quarterback.
And if you're going to sit there and you're going to talk shit to me about what I ain't going to do and this is what you will do and all of that, but you don't allow your kids, you don't make your kids follow the same standards. There's going to be some resentment. I know if I was on the team, I'd be like, man, fuck you, for real.
Right. And and you wouldn't be on the team. That's his thing. He wants guys with certain attitudes, and he knows the kind of kids that he wants to recruit. And if you are one of those kids that probably would have the propensity or to be, I'm not gonna say jealous, but to be hold resentment, then you probably won't be on the team.
If you're one of those kids that's going to call out BS, a double standard, that's what
there are double standards across the board. It's not.
Only thing, but that only benefited Shador and Shiloh.
No, it benefited the Colorado Buffaloes and their University of Colorado.
That's not fair.
How?
What do you mean? There was articles written on it. That's
Exactly.
advertisement. What's the saying?
Articles written on
All
who?
publicity is good publicity.
Articles written on
every
who?
article I read said University of Colorado student athletes or players or what have you. Yeah. Now I did have their names in there as well, correct?
Yes.
How does that benefit the team?
Notoriety.
Last year, Colorado had a historic increase in revenue, in attendance, all that kind of stuff. So it benefits the university.
It does. They
It's
make
advertisement.
Hand over fist because they got Deion Sanders and his boys there.
Yeah.
That school.
Y'all see what they was wearing?
Yes.
Yeah,
And I don't
it's Louis Vuitton. Isn't that Pharrell Williams over there now or something?
Yes.
Yeah, but did y'all see what they was wearing?
Vice Pharrell
So how are y'all trying to connect them wearing some hunting gear, some high-end hunting gear for Louis Vuitton fashion? How does that benefit Colorado?
No, I am correlating the press that they're receiving, from the articles written about them missing practice or the first meeting, and 2, from the notoriety that they're receiving from being Colorado players in the Louis Vuitton fashion show with viewership, merchandising, and whatever else benefiting the school. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Merchandising benefit the school.
That's not true.
Merchandising benefits the school. Yes, it does.
So on this initial Google search, I see Shiloh Shador Sanders walking Louis Vuitton fashion show. I didn't see anything about Colorado Buffaloes. Second one, Deion Sanders' sons, Shador and Shiloh walking Louis Vuitton show. I didn't see anything about the Colorado Buffaloes.
Right. If you're just reading headlines, correct. If you're just reading headlines,
I'm going off what y'all said.
I said in the article,
in preparation for this conversation.
Brothers
in the article
for Louis Vuitton during Paris Fashion Week. There's nothing about the Colorado Buffaloes mentioned.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned him a few minutes ago.
What did y'all just say?
No. I'm gonna ask you this. You mentioned this a few minutes ago. If you had an article that said Nick Saban, what's your first thing that's gonna come to your mind? Is Alabama football. So you're right. It may not explicitly say that, but because we know them for their role as Colorado Buffaloes players and Deion Sanders as Colorado's coach, and mentioning them by proxy, you're mentioning university.
What did you explicitly just say?
No, read the article. You're reading the headline.
What did you explicitly just say?
What I said in the articles. That's what I said. I didn't say in the headlines. I didn't say in the clickbait stuff to get you to click on it. I didn't say that. I said in the articles.
I was so close to siding with you, Marv. So close.
It don't matter if you do or don't. You know, I don't care about that. Listen,
I think that the point.
Let's go to ESPN. Okay.
No, the point is that my point is that with these NIL deals, you have to recognize that these children are now business brands.
Yeah.
And their brand can bring recognition to your brand.
Oh.
Now, whether the article headline specifically relates to them or not, they are Colorado players. So their brand is going to bring attention to the Colorado brand. It's inevitable. It's not like you can separate the fact that these children are not Deion Sanders' children. You can't separate the fact that Deion Sanders is coaching his kids. You can't separate the fact that he's head coach at Colorado and they play for Colorado. Like, all these things are intertwined. So
I think that also, you talk about, and back in my day, I would have had resentment or whatever. I think it's a different atmosphere now, and I think kids are accustomed to that, coming into unequal attention, unequal opportunities being given to their own teammates from the time they're in middle school, through travel baseball, travel basketball, all kind of stuff. Their playing field is not equal now, and they see that growing up. So I don't think there's as much of a reason to have a resentment. They're used to it at this point.
That's right. You're wrong on that, and I'm gonna tell you why. This is why. I have a child that participated in what you just mentioned, and I know other children. And the one thing that will never cease to be is their humanity and their feelings and emotions as people. And just because you can say, hey, listen, well, he's getting this amount of shine, and because he gets that shine, I should, just be willing to take less. That's never going to be the case. People are human and they have those emotions, and I just totally disagree with you. And I disagree with you all's correlation that this somehow benefits Colorado. It's a stretch. It's a stretch, but primarily, and I've always said this, I said this in the previous shows, and we'll probably just have to disagree on this one, but everything that Prime does, everything that his boys do, are for the benefit of Prime. It ain't for anybody else. All of this is about, and that's been Deion's MO. And I'm not saying this to diss Deion, or his boys. I have nothing against them at all, but I have to call it how I see it. It's all about them, and this is another situation that proves that, in my personal opinion.
But you're saying they're taking less. They're not taking less, they're getting less. I'm not getting paid the same as the top lawyers in, I'm not Rosenblum fees over here. So I'm not taking less. I'm getting less.
Treatments.
Right.
If I have to be here, right, and they don't, and you're saying, hey, we're about the team, and this is what we are going to do as a team. This is what you will do as a part of this team. But these two don't, just because they are your sons, or because what? Maybe Travis Hunter could get it. Is that the boy's name, Travis Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter could get away with it, right? Because he could play both sides. He's the best athlete in college football, because they could get away from it. But hey, listen, you don't? No, it's not fair. And it's not what football and team camaraderie has ever been about. It's never.
It's not. Life isn't fair. Every year, every semester, these teams, while they're doing spring ball or while they're doing summer conditioning before school camp, there's students that are taken away to go on the interview circuit and so forth.
Now that benefits the university, but
exactly. That's my point. That's my point.
But
you said that whatever Deion is doing is
to Paris to participate in a fashion show. That doesn't correlate to anything for the team, Lam. And it doesn't.
It doesn't translate to the football field, correct? But it translates, like Arika said, to them as a brand, and by proxy, that benefits the university. Correct. Everybody, again, this is where she talks about the NIL. It's different territory than what you're used to and what we were used to when we were growing up. And I think our mindset necessarily isn't the same as what the administrators now were forced to do. And yeah, that's a big reason why Saban probably retired. Huge reason, because he probably didn't want to have that change of mindset. It probably was a struggle for him. And you said everything Deion does is for his benefit only. Well, his benefit and Colorado's benefit are not mutually, what do you call it? They're not, they don't have to be separate. His benefit could be Colorado's benefit. You see what I'm saying? So him doing what's best for him also benefits Colorado.
Let me say this, man, before we wrap it up, because I think that the point that I'm trying to make makes it seem as if I'm not about player empowerment and for these kids getting every opportunity that they're able to earn. That's not my point. Because I'm all about that. I've always preached that. My point is, and I think that the bigger picture that it speaks to is how Coach Prime, how he says one thing, right, when it's to benefit him, but then when it that standing on that principle no longer suits him, then it's like, oh, but it's okay. It's okay. You know, remember he came to Jackson. When he came to Jackson, he was all pro-black. We don't need them. We can play at the HBCUs. Our best players should be at the HBCUs. And he got everybody rallied and fired up and talking about how we can make a difference at the HBCUs, right? And then when he bounced, and not trying to debate whether he had the right to bounce or not, right? Because he got a right to do what he wants to do for his family, his career. But you also, when you do that, you receive the criticism that you receive from me and from C, and it's fair. And you got to take that medicine. Nah, dude, you sat here and said, hey, listen, it's about us, it's about the people, it's about the movement, right? But then when you had the opportunity to bounce, you did. What about what you was trying to get us to buy into? And people aren't wrong to do that. And I'm saying, okay, yes, I agree with y'all. It's not fair. It may be equal, whatever you said, Lab, all those different things. But when you were called out for it, like I'm calling them out, you got to take that medicine because it is hypocritical. And it does speak to how you're not really about the team. You're not really about the program, you're about yourself. And the coach dictates that narrative. And he missed on this one. He just simply did.
But I think that it's also a learning curve too, because like when
For who?
for life, like so when Missouri legalized marijuana, the legislature legalized it, but then they didn't tell the police officers how to enforce it. So like we had to figure out what's illegal, what are we going to do, what are we stopping people for, what are we going to do, are we going to, so if we arrest somebody with weed now, do we have to put this in their property, and how are we going to preserve this? Do we preserve it like money? Like, so the legislature will make a rule and then everybody else has to figure out how to execute the rule. So NIL has changed the game, and now coaches have to figure out how to execute the changes that they're experiencing. And so I don't have any experience being in the locker room. Clearly, I'm a nerd. I read books. I ain't been on nobody's field. I don't know how I have two athletic children, but I don't know how coaches and stuff run their locker rooms. But I think that there's something to be said about giving people a little bit of grace. I don't know on how to facilitate this change in having players who have these NIL deals, having players who have this autonomy now to move around like they want to, because you need to keep players. And so it's not just him, he's in the spotlight. There have to be other schools, there have to be other players. I think this just because he's who he is, we talk about him more than other people, but there are other people dealing with trying to figure out and negotiate this space in between NIL players who have more autonomy, who have more control over who they are, how they're represented, their brand, and what they're doing, and what they can do. So, Nick Saban can be like, I will cut you and then redshirt you, and you will be sitting on this bench for the rest of your career if you don't do what I say, as opposed to what you can do now. He can't do something like that.
Other players at other schools have taken the liberty the last few years of sitting out games, literally, to preserve themselves at these schools that are winning championships. It doesn't seem to be, maybe there is resentment. Maybe, I'm sure there might be. But as far as the product on the field, that's my point. I don't think it's going to affect the product on the field.
Let me tell you something, and then we can wrap it up. We're talking about Deion Sanders. This dude has been playing high school football, college football, professional football, not just for one sport, but for two sports. So there ain't no learning curve when it comes to him and how the players are supposed to be when it comes to attending team functions, practices, meetings, or whatever. There ain't no learning curve when it comes to that. This dude knows. This dude has.
They're not the first players to miss a team function.
This dude knows the importance of that. And like I said, if you want to say, okay, listen, I'm allowed them to do it. I'm gonna allow them to do it. Listen, okay, they may not be the first players to do it, right? I may agree with y'all with that, but can we not agree that the optics look totally messed up when it's your two boys who are going to Paris to the fashion show? Fashion show?
Again,
the problem is that Prime is under a
we ain't talking about football. We talking about a fashion
under a
show.
microscope. So yeah, the optics are bad because every single thing he do is being hyper criticized. But
that's not hyper criticism right there.
I don't think the optics even look bad personally. I mean, I don't care if they're going to a fashion show or if they go into their cousin's T-ball game. It really doesn't matter to me what they're doing.
I just don't understand why he couldn't pick a different day. Like, you didn't know they was in the fashion show. You don't have conversations at home where you're like, Dad, I can't do this day. And be like, oh, let me pick a different day. Like, that could be so simple.
Again, I think that goes back to when the academic calendar, and it's based on academic calendar where he doesn't really have a control over that.
Because he knows there's plenty of primetime fans that are going to make excuses for him no matter what. And that's the case. No, yeah, I'm not. That's not a shot at y'all.
No.
I'm not taking a shot at y'all. I'm keeping it.
No, I don't know if he's.
There are plenty of people. Because you remember we had a show, we talked about it. Can you criticize Prime, right, and not have your blackness questioned? And there's plenty of people that've been like, hey, there's been plenty of people be like we coming, and we doing all this different stuff, and people like, hey, settle down, man. Y'all remember we first started talking about it, and I was like, as a former football player, I was like, I don't know, man. Y'all getting kind of hyped, way too early.
Well, see, the thing of it is
that's the point. And I think that because, and maybe he just don't care. Maybe just like, hey, listen, I'm gonna do it my way. And like you said, I'm gonna do it my way. If y'all don't like it, kick rocks. There's a transfer portal, roll out. But again, and then I really am gonna wrap it up. Again, when you act that way, you have to take your medicine. I gotta take mine. When I'm
did he say something?
When I sit here and I dig my heels in, defending Monique and talking about Monique, and everybody comes against me, guess what? There's a conscious decision that I am making, right? There's a conscious decision that I'm making, and because of that, guess what? I gotta take the shots. I gotta take the jokes. I gotta take that comes with it. And I can't sit here and complain, and not to say that Deion is. But
that's what I was asking. Did he not take?
But I can't sit here and say, listen, y'all, people shouldn't be talking about me, and other folks shouldn't be saying that about Deion. When people say, hey, listen, that looks fucked up that you let your boys go to the Paris fashion show instead of being at practice with the rest of the team. But anyway, I think we talked about it enough. Make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, Instagram.
Not everybody thinks it's messed up, but yeah.
Make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at manlistenshow. You subscribe to the show on YouTube. Click that bell icon. Make sure you tell a friend. We got 400 followers. We need to get to 500 for the end of the first quarter. I don't like to date the show, but we need to get to 500 followers before the end before 3 months. Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. I had a bad show. Anyway, I'll y'all next time. Shout out to C. Peace.
Hey man, they was playing the long game.